On August 26, 2017, a hurricane named Harvey made landfall in Texas near Corpus Christi. Within days, the Houston area experienced flooding. Harris County, which is home to over 4.5 million people, was approximately 30% submerged. Over 100 died. Countless more lives were permanently altered. In the immediate aftermath, the Astros obviously couldn't return home for their homestand against the Rangers. There's an entire debacle with the Rangers refusing to switch 3 home games, but it's not worth getting into. Houston played those 3 games at Tropicana Field. They were also supposed to play their next series against the Mets in St. Petersburg, but Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner personally called Jim Crane and asked him to return to Minute Maid Park as soon as they could. So on September 2nd, against the Mets, the Astros returned to Houston. They honored the victims of the hurricane with a patch on the jerseys that read, "Houston Strong." The rest of this season is for them. The Astros absolutely destroyed Harvey. I'm not sure exactly where to start with this season. Oh wait, I know how. Derek Jeter meant everything to the Yankees. He had one of the best careers in Yankees history. His number 2 became one of the most iconic jerseys in sports history. Well, after he retired in 2014, the Yankees set out to retire his number 2. They scheduled that ceremony to be held before the second game of a doubleheader on May 14th. Who is the opponent? Well, you know who it is. Why else would I be talking about it? Everything in the stadium and even the broadcast was in honor of Derek Jeter, and it was ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball, so the whole country would bear witness to this. The Astros, in honor of Jeter, would start the game with 2 back-to-back home runs. Then the Astro who wears number 2 in honor of Jeter hit a grand slam. By the time it was all said and done, the Astros made it a 9-0 lead. The Yankees tried to come back, but no dice. Altuve didn't contribute in that game, but as soon as he faced Aroldis Chapman in a Yankees uniform, he nabbed his first hit off of the Cuban lefty. Altuve nabbed his now 3rd consecutive All-Star starter spot. I realize I'm spending a bit too much time on these, so I'll summarize by saying he went 0-for-2 with a K. The 2017 Astros were unstoppable. They had the highest WRC plus since the Murderers Row Yankees. They had the best team WRC plus in 2017 by 12 points. They tied for the highest runs per game of any team in the entire decade of the 2010s, alongside the 2015 Blue Jays. However, they did best that Blue Jays team in terms of pure runs scored. At least so far, they were one of the greatest offenses ever. Come awards season, Altuve nabbed Silver Slugger number 4 on the career. Oh, also the 2017 AL MVP award. Oh, right, probably should have mentioned that Altuve was absolutely on fire all summer with a nearly 500 batting average in July. His OBP was 523 though. It's still far and away the highest batting average he's ever posted in a month. Same goes for his OPS. He's one of just 19 players since integration to record 4 200-hit seasons, and he's one of just 4 of those players to do it consecutively. Did I mention he won the batting title? That feels like a given. His hits total for those 4 seasons was almost 100 higher than the next closest batter. Come October, the Astros rolled in as the number 2 seed, ready to face the Boston Red Sox. 2017 was kind of a transition year for Boston. They had said goodbye to David Ortiz at the end of the prior season, but they still won 93 games in the AL East crown. In Game 1 versus the Astros, the Red Sox sent out their ace, Chris Sale. In his first season in Boston, he's having what is probably the best year of his career. However, in the first inning, he has to face the Astros' number 2 batter. Alex Bregman was a shortstop in college at LSU. That's something you might not have known. He was actually drafted by the Red Sox in the 29th round back in 2012, but he chose not to sign. In 2015, around the same time Correa was winning Rookie of the Year, Bregman went 2nd overall to the Astros. Having 2 franchise cornerstone shortstops is a bit awkward, so what the Astros did was just slide Bregman over to third base. A good decision in retrospect. He also made a brief 4-plate appearance stint in the World Baseball Classic with Team USA. In 2017, his first full season as the Astros' third baseman, Bregman had an excellent year, and his postseason started out wonderfully.
Here's a long drive to deep left field, and the Astros are on the board first.
In 2015, José Altuve was terrible in the postseason, so let's not get our hopes up. He clearly just can't handle the big moment.
Altuve smacks one toward left center field. Back at the wall, Benintendi. They go back to back and go up 2-0.
I stand corrected. Maybe he does have that playoff dog in him. In the second, the Red Sox very nearly blew their chance at getting a run back, but after a review, it stood and it's 2-1. It remained that way after Altuve grounded into an inning-ending double play in the third. In the fourth, Boston ties it up when Josh Reddick just barely misses a throw on the sac fly. In the bottom half of the inning, Marwin Gonzalez smacks a double into the gap, and that scores a pair. Up in the fifth, Altuve
Altuve drives one to deep left center field. Is this his second? You bet.
The Astros scored some more insurance runs in the 6th, then Altuve is up in the 7th, and again
Red Sox lost the game. Look out here. Look out now. You want to join Babe Ruth on the list? He just did.
José Altuve has just become the 9th player in MLB history to hit 3 home runs in a playoff game, joining a list that is mostly Hall of Famers. Dallas Keuchel is on the mound for Houston in Game 2, and a Jamie Moyer teammate is on the mound for Boston. Altuve nabs a first-pitch single with 2 outs, which sets the stage for Carlos Correa to drive them both in with a towering home run. Both teams add a run by the time Altuve drops another RBI in the 3rd. The next inning, with a runner on 3rd and 2 outs, Boston gives him a free pass. In the 6th inning, he's given the free pass once again with a base open. In the 7th, he comes up with the bases loaded. He's not intentionally walked because, obviously, facing a pitcher he homered against yesterday and is probably in jail by the time this video comes out. He takes an easy ball 1 and ball 2, but what should be ball 3 is called a strike. Guess who the home plate umpire is? Yep, it's him. Perhaps needing to expand the zone, Altuve swings at what should have been ball 4. He then strikes out on full count. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna speed through Game 3 and only Game 3. Altuve has a 3-hit game plus a walk as the Astros blow a 3-0 first inning lead to lose by 7. Game 4, Altuve opens up the scoring by grounding into a double play in the 1st. Xander Bogaerts ties things up with a homer. Altuve walks to load the bases, but Correa strikes out. Marwin Gonzalez cuts down the game-tying run in the 3rd. Altuve bunts in the 5th, but Rafael Devers unexpectedly makes a good play to nab him. Andrew Benintendi gives the Red Sox a 1-run lead with a 2-run shot in the 5th. With the tying run on first, Altuve gets caught looking in the 7th, to which he has some words to Mark Wegner. Alex Bregman faces Chris Sale in the 8th, and much like Game 1, he styles on him with another solo shot. The Astros take the lead with a Josh Reddick base hit later in the inning before Altuve ends it with a pop fly. The Astros tack on some insurance in the 9th, which proves to be invaluable after an error ends up allowing Devers to have an inside-the-park home run. With 2 outs and the last chance for the Red Sox up to bat, Dustin Pedroia grounds an easy one to our main man. The Houston Astros are headed to the American League Championship Series for the first time in franchise history. Their opponent? Who else would it be but the New York Yankees? After ditching a couple of old veterans and kicking off a youth movement, the Yankees made a dramatic comeback in the 2017 AL wildcard game. They then made a dramatic series comeback from down 0-2 against Cleveland to punch their ticket to the ALCS. Game 1 was a rematch of the wildcard game from 2 years prior in Keuchel vs. Tanaka. Coming off a monstrous ALDS, Altuve lines the first pitch he sees just shy of the warning track. In the 4th, he picks up an infield single for the Astros' first hit of the game. His hustle got him to first, and now it gets him to second as he nabs the base. Then his hustle gets Houston a run as he scores on Correa's single. A couple batters later, and Correa scores. Keuchel got into some trouble in the 5th after a leadoff single, but a ground ball heads right to Altuve. Ah, beans. Now with 2 runners on and nobody out, Keuchel gets a simple fly ball for out number 1. Then he strikes out Brett Gardner for the 2nd time. Then on a full count with the runners going, Aaron Judge lines a single into left field. Greg Bird, who is not a fast runner at all, is sent home by his third base coach and... Yeah, I mean, what was the thought process there? In the 6th, Altuve gets a regular single, and some more hustle gets him on second via a wild pitch. But Correa is caught looking, and the side is gone. Altuve picks up his 3rd hit of the game. The Yankees cut the deficit to 1, but the Astros hang on for the Game 1 win. Game 2. Get ready to watch a Hall of Famer at his peak. Justin Verlander is one of the greatest pitchers of all time, certainly the best of his era. Drafted number 2 overall in the 2004 MLB draft, he enjoyed a plentiful career with the Detroit Tigers. A couple Cy Youngs, some no-hitters, an MVP, all the fixins are on this hot dog. Eventually his career hit kind of a lull in 2014 and 15, but he rebounded with a 2nd place Cy Young finish in 2016, or 1st place depending on who you ask. With Detroit wanting to rebuild, they flipped him to Houston at the deadline for the baseball equivalent to this sandwich I ate one time. Down the stretch, Verlander was so good that it was good enough to warrant his own separate video. But I'm gonna go back in time and make it. There, I did it. Now back to the future and / or present. Verlander goes 3 up, 3 down in the 1st. Altuve nabs another first pitch single and Correa walks, but that doesn't go anywhere. Broken bat infield single is the only thing the Yankees can muster in the 2nd. The 3rd inning features Josh Reddick making a leaping catch at the wall, and then he and Correa team up to nab Gardner trying to go to 3rd after a review. Another 3 up, 3 down by Verlander in the 4th. Altuve destroys his bat on a ground out. Correa just barely gets this over the wall for the game's first run. Verlander starts the 5th with back-to-back Ks before a double extends the inning. Then this weird little wedgie ground rule double ties the game back up. In the 6th, JV racks up 2 more Ks and another perfect inning. Speaking of strikeouts, Altuve does that in the 6th. A walk is sandwiched between a pair of ugly strikeouts, followed by a flyout in the 7th. In the 8th, Verlander strikes out Todd Frazier looking on 3 pitches. Then he gets Chase Headley on 4 pitches. And then finally, he gets Brett Gardner on 5 pitches. Verlander allows a 1-out single in the 9th, but other than that, he gives the Astros offense a chance to walk it off in the bottom of the 9th. The Yankees task their closer, Aroldis Chapman, to send this game to extra innings. To lead off the inning, Josh Reddick waves and misses at a wicked slider. Up steps Altuve to face Chapman in the bottom of the 9th in a tie game. On the very first pitch, Altuve smacks a triple-digit fastball right back up the middle. Chapman then throws over. His fastball, clocked at 99 miles an hour, is outside for ball 1. Then Chapman throws over again. Another triple-digit fastball is outside, ball 2. Needing a strike, Aroldis Chapman delivers a mid-80s slider that heads right to the bottom of the zone for strike 1. A risky pitch, as if that gets hung, Correa would easily send the Astros home happy. He tries the slider again and misses, ball 3. Back to the 99 Heat for a foul ball. The count is now full. Once more, Chapman throws over. He knows on a full count with 1 out, Altuve might be running. If he runs, then any extra base hit will score him easily.
Runner not going on a fly ball into right center field.
Altuve doesn't go, and Correa places the ball into the gap. Judge quickly gets to it and fires it in, all the while Altuve is booking it around the bases, determined to score. But here comes the relay. Altuve is going to be out, and Marwin Gonzalez, who is 0 for 3 so far, is going to have Correa on second and 2 outs. I mean, this throw is way ahead of him. Altuve is hardly even in the frame. Except I neglected to mention one thing. As Astros radio announcer Steve Sparks put it,
Played by Gregorius, it's dropped by Sanchez. Altuve scores, and the Astros win it 2-1.
Game over. Astros lead the series 2-0.
Carlos Correa, the hero.
The series moves to New York. CC Sabathia starts the game with a perfect inning that ends with Altuve striking out. The Yankees jump on the board first with a 3-run short porch job by Todd Frazier. Sabathia starts the shutdown inning by coaxing 2 outs, but a walk and a single bring up Altuve. Sabathia tries a trio of poor outside breaking balls, but the count falls 3-0. Of course, Altuve swings at a low strike and chops it, but it ends up foul. However, he does end up drawing the walk when another breaking ball winds up outside. But Correa can't capitalize with the bases loaded and pops out. In the 4th, with 2 outs and runners in the corner, Chase Headley grounds one to Altuve, but he just can't make that play. The Yankees end up tacking on 4 more in the 4th. Once again, Altuve comes up with 2 on and 2 outs, but again, nothing comes of it. He grounds out in the 7th, and with the bases loaded in the 9th, he grounds into a double play to end the game. Altuve is the only base runner in the first inning of Game 4, drawing a 4-pitch walk. He strikes out in the 4th, and in the 6th, the Astros get a couple of men on for Altuve, who walks to load the bases. Correa falls with a strikeout, but Gurriel lines a bases-clearing double down into the corner before getting hung up. Next inning, Starling Castro boots an easy grounder, which allows Marwin to score. The Yankees get one back on a hanging curveball that Judge destroys for a homer, which brings in Chris Davinsky, who immediately allows a triple followed by a sac fly. Altuve lines out in the 8th. The Yankees lead off the 8th with a single. Chase Headley follows and picks up a single, but he stumbles rounding first. Correa's relay throw goes to first, throw back to second, and he's safe. That brings in Ken Giles, who trades an out for a run. Aaron Judge slices one that makes contact with a fan, but after a brief conversation, he's allowed to keep his game-tying double. Didi Gregorius hits one that rolls just under Correa's glove for another single. On a 2-0 pitch, the Yankees send Didi Gregorius, and Gary Sanchez delivers a ball into the gap that plates 2 runs. Chapman comes in and shuts the door in the 9th. In easily the worst game of the postseason so far for the Astros, Altuve goes 0 for 3 while reaching on an error. Playoff Tanaka, as they call him, tossed a 7-inning masterpiece while surrendering only 3 hits. The Yankees gave him 5 runs of support and easily took Game 5 to go up 3-2. It looked like the Astros were on the ropes. With not much hope left, all they could do was hope for a good outing for their starter. So, who's up for Game 6? Justin Verlander was all but unstoppable through the first 5 innings. The Astros offense was equally bad, only managing 1 hit. But in the 5th, walks by Alex Bregman and Evan Gattis put 2 on with 1 out for Brian McCann. He smacks one that gets past Judge and goes up over the wall for the first run of the game. After a walk and a not deep enough to tag up flyout, Altuve comes up. Bases loaded, 2 outs, first pitch swinging.
Breaking ball, base hit. Gattis scores. McCann to the plate. Altuve delivers 3-0 Houston.
Verlander's shutdown inning starts with a single, but then a flyout and strikeout. Didi gets a single, and then Verlander falls behind 3-0 on Sanchez. He can't allow a walk here, but he also can't just throw one right down the pipe. So JV delivers a slider on the outside half of the plate. It looks like it's going to be a strike, but you never know how an umpire is going to call it. In any case, it makes absolutely 0 sense for Sanchez to... Oh no.
A check swing on 3-0. Correct. Inning over.
Yeah, that's the worst case scenario for the Yankees. Justin starts the 7th with his first walk in the night. And then he hits a batter, facing Aaron Hicks, he falls behind 3-0 again. He gets strike 1 and then gets a gift of a strike 2 call to stay in this at-bat. He battles for a few more pitches before striking Hicks out. Todd Frazier is expecting a breaking ball and fouls one off for strike 1. Then, on Verlander's 95th pitch of the night, Frazier connects. George Springer was the first UConn player to be drafted in the first round of the draft since Charles Nagy in 1988. This was in 2011, the year before Correa went number 1. He had a good first couple of seasons with the Astros, culminating in his first ever All-Star trip in 2017. From the leadoff spot, he provided some serious pop, launching countless Springer dingers as they came to be known, mostly from that one hole in the order. He led the whole team in homers from 2014 to 2017, but at this moment, that's not what we need. What the Astros need is Springer's glove.
Fly ball in the air to center. Back is Springer at the wall. A leap and a catch.
No doubling off at first, but there are 2 gone in the 7th. Chase Headley grounds an easy one to Altuve, and Verlander is fired up as he exits the game. Brad Peacock comes in and surrenders a home run to Judge. Well, that's not great, but I guess that's why he came second in MVP voting. When Altuve comes up to bat, the fans chant MVP as if to remind Judge who the real MVP was.
Is hit in the air to left. Back at the wall. It's gone. Altuve.
The Astros add some insurance later in the inning, and we are headed to a Game 7. Charlie Morton was toiling away on the Pittsburgh Pirates with a couple key characters for later on in our story. Eventually, he made his way to free agency, where he nabbed a 1-year deal with the Phillies. But he would only pitch a handful of games before being lost for the season. The Astros figured they could fix him, and they handed Morton a 2-year, $14 million contract. And I'd say they fixed him, seeing as how 2017 was the best season of his career so far. His Game 3 ALCS start was pretty bad, but he's back on the hill to face Sabathia with everything on the line. Unlike Game 3, Morton was on one. 3 up, 3 down in the first with 2 Ks. Morton allows a single and nothing else, ending the second with a K. Altuve walks with Bregman on first, but nothing comes of that. A perfect 4th with another K. Then in the bottom of the 4th, Evan Gattis, a guy who is 0 for 7 so far in the ALCS, finally gets one.
That's into left center field. When he connects, they go a long way.
On the first pitch of the 5th, Greg Bird parks a double in the corner. Morton sits Starling Castro down on a check swing, but then he loses Aaron Hicks for a 4-pitch walk that gets away and sends Bird to third. In Game 3, Todd Frazier flicked a home run off Morton that kicked off the Yankees' rout. In Game 7, he hits a chopper to Bregman. Greg Bird, who is not a fast runner at all, darts home and...
The throw home is in time. Got him.
Yeah, I mean, what was the thought process there? Headley grounds out and the threat is extinguished. You'll never guess what happens in the bottom of the inning.
High drive to right at the wall. Goodbye. 2-0. Altuve.
Well, that's just fine and dandy, I do declare. The Astros nab a pair of runs later in the inning, and as it turns out, Charlie Morton's day is done. Lance McCullers Jr. was the son of a pitcher. Drafted by the Astros the same year as Correa, he made his way up, debuting in 2015. He was a good pitcher, but the trouble with Lance is that he's constantly missing games. But when he was on the field, he was dominant. His absolute best weapon was his curveball, which ranked as one of the best curves in the game in 2017 by curveball runs above average. Just use run value on stack hit. That doesn't exist yet, okay? Also, take note at Uncle Charlie's Uncle Charlie coming in at 4th. In fact, Lance was so good he actually made the cover of Sports Illustrated. Well, the grip of his curveball did. In Game 7, he enters the bottom of the 5th and immediately gives up a single to Brett Gardner, but he rebounds by sitting the next 3 down. To lead off the 7th, Greg Bird hits a fly ball deep into left center, but Springer leaps over Marwin for the catch. Starlin Castro strikes out on something way outside. Then Aaron Hicks taps an easy one to Gurriel with McCullers covering. David Robertson's first delivery to Altuve is up and in, he's mad, but he strikes out Altuve in the end. To lead off the 8th inning, McCullers throws 4 pitches, all balls, without a single curveball. What follows is McCullers spamming the curveball like it's the only pitch he has.
A strikeout for the first out.
Against Gardner, the curve is upstairs. Then it's perfectly placed for a strike. Gardner fouls it off, then it's in play, outs. Up steps Aaron Judge, a guy who has been dominant all season long. A guy who is already the face of the Yankees. He's unquestionably the scariest hitter in this New York lineup. But the Astros have World Series plans scheduled. So Judge, in case we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
McCullers.
Top of the ninth. Strike 1. Foul ball, strike 2. Sit down, Didi. Strike 1. Foul ball, strike 2. Foul tip to stay alive. Sit down, Sanchez. Ball 1. Ball 2. Out of heck with the signals. Bring it here, Lance!
Springer says he's got it. The Houston Astros.
A 3-hit complete game shutout from Morton and McCullers. The Yankees' offense was absolutely dismal in Houston. The Astros pitching staff took them behind the woodshed again and again. They pretty much only scored 1 meaningful run. But the Astros aren't done yet. Coming off an intensely emotional 7-game ALCS, the Houston Astros would face the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 2017 World Series. Game 1 of this Fall Classic sees Dallas Keuchel take the mound against one Clayton Edward Kershaw. When I talked about Justin Verlander being certainly one of the greatest pitchers of all time and definitely the best of his era, well, Clayton's probably the one pitcher who can challenge JV for that crown. From 2005 to 2017, they are neck and neck in war, with Kershaw just barely on top. Of course, with 610 fewer innings, that is much more impressive. Kershaw starts the game out with a perfect inning. The first pitch of Keuchel's outing is an absolute bomb from Chris Taylor. Well, that's not a great start. Nothing much happens until the 4th when Bregman hits a game-tying homer, followed by Altuve getting caught looking on what should have been ball 4. A 2-out walk in the 6th brings up Justin Turner, who clobbers a ball for 2 runs. Altuve leads off the 7th with a single, but he gets erased on a fielder's choice. 2 outs in the 9th, this is the very last chance for the Astros to keep going, and he flies out on the first pitch. Darn. Fun fact about Justin Verlander, he has never won a World Series game in his 3 tries. Now that's not too big of a deal, it's only 3 games, but still. The Dodgers send out Diet Jamie Moyer, or as he's more commonly known, Rich Hill. Altuve is struck out on the high heat, which is a term I use ironically. Verlander and Hill trade perfect innings until the 3rd when Hill allows a single to Reddick. Justin Verlander, who one time hit a home run at Fenway, then bunts him over. Springer gets a single. Then Bregman lines one that lands right in front of Taylor, however it bounces off the brim of his cap and goes straight to Jock Peterson, who was coming over from left. Because of that, Bregman ends up with a single and Springer has to say it's second. Altuve has seen 6 pitches so far, and all 6 have either been swinging or called strikes. He doesn't have a 3-pitch strikeout in the 5th, it's a 2-pitch foul pop-out, but still. In the bottom of that inning, Jock Peterson ties the game up. In the 6th, Corey Seager gives the Dodgers a 2-run lead. Once again, it looks like the Astros are going to fall a 2-run homer short of their first ever World Series game win. Bregman starts the 8th with his second unusual ball carom of the night, but this time it actually is a double. Kenley Jansen comes in and gets Altuve to ground out, but Bregman does advance to 3rd. Correa then scores him, but Jansen gets the next 2 to end the inning. To start the 9th, Marwin Gonzalez takes a strike and then chops one foul. And then, on an 0-2 count, Marwin Gonzalez delivers the hit that keeps the Astros' hopes alive.
Gonzalez hits one in the air into left center field. Back at the wall and is gone! Tie game in the 9th. Marwin Gonzalez.
In the bottom of the 9th, Cody Bellinger comes about 10 feet from a walk-off homer, but no dice, we're going to extras. The Dodgers sent out Josh Fields to pitch the 10th. Remember him from the 2015 ALDS? He was traded to the Dodgers in 2016 for some no-name Cuban prospect, and he's hung around ever since. Fields delivers a 97-mile-an-hour fastball right down the pipe with no movement. What do you think happens?
10th inning, Altuve into left center field. Back at the wall, it is gone!
Yeah, that's what MVPs do. Carlos Correa isn't an MVP, but at the same time...
Here's one into left center field off the bat of Correa. Altuve and Correa go back to back.
He ain't no dang slouch. Oh, cheer up, Josh. It's not like you got traded for a future Hall of Famer. Gurriel hits a double, Josh is taken to a field somewhere and told to look at the rabbits. José Altuve makes it a one-run game in the bottom of the inning, but Giles gets back-to-back strikeouts. He gets 2 strikes on Logan Forsythe, but he can't get him to chase and just barely misses on a full count. To make matters worse, Giles spikes one in the dirt that sends Forsythe to second. Kike Hernandez takes full advantage of that.
Base hit right field. Here comes Forsythe. Throw by Reddick. He's not in time.
That's it for Giles as Chris Davinsky comes in and ends the 10th. Cameron Maybin gets a base hit, which is weird because he's not a very good batter. Then he steals a base, which isn't weird because he's a very good base stealer. This steal also earns America a free taco from Taco Bell. Anywho, George Springer hits one into the gap that easily scores Maybin and himself as it ends up over the wall for a home run. Austin Barnes almost throws the ball away, but Altuve is still out. After Charlie Culberson makes it a one-run game, Davinsky and Puig get into a truly nerve-wracking 9-pitch battle. But eventually,
Struck him out, and the Astros win it.
the Astros come out of LA with their first World Series game win in franchise history. The first World Series game ever played in Houston. The first ever World Series game in Houston with a DH began with a special tradition. J.J. Watt, the future Hall of Fame defensive end for the Houston Texans, was invited to throw out the first pitch. It wasn't just because of his countless accomplishments and accolades on the football field, but because he helped raise $37 million for Hurricane Harvey relief. Altuve and Watt are good friends. Altuve actually attended a Texans game in 2016 where they came back from a 14-point fourth quarter deficit to win in overtime. Yu Darvish is the Dodgers starter, and George Springer leads off with the double. Altuve gets a hold of one, but it dies before the track. Springer ends up on third. Yuli Gurriel sends one to the Crawford boxes for the first run of the game. Josh Reddick follows with a double. Evan Gattis follows with a walk. Marwin and McCann both follow with RBI singles. Springer lines a sharp one right for an out. Bregman lines a sac fly into center to make it 4-0. Altuve then smokes a ball that slams off the Dodgers bullpen for a double, however, McCann can't score. Speaking of the Dodgers bullpen, that's where Dave Roberts heads for Kenta Maeda, who gets LA out of the inning. After a 9-pitch battle with Jock Peterson, McCullers ends up walking the lefty. Kike Hernandez then works a much easier 4-pitch walk. Then a tough call on Taylor loads him up. With the tying run at the plate and Corey Seager, McCullers starts him off with a ball, but he swings and misses at the curve. Seager then grounds into a double play, which is exactly what the Astros needed, even with a run scoring. McCullers then gets Turner to end the inning. Altuve grounds out in the 4th. The following inning, with Josh Reddick on first, Evan Gattis hits this little dribbler that Tony Watson throws away. Reddick books it around the bases and scores on the play. In the 6th, McCullers leaves second and third one out for Brad Peacock, who surrenders a run for an out on the very first pitch. Then Peacock throws one that goes right through Brian McCann's legs, allowing Turner to score. Altuve adds both a backwards and forwards K to his line as nothing else happens. Astros lead the World Series 2-1. Game 4 saw a 26-year-old lefty Alex Wood take the mound for the Dodgers, and he's about to pitch the game of his life. 1-2-3 first with an Altuve groundout, 3 batters, 3 outs in the second, a walk and nothing more in the third. Altuve grounds out in the middle of a 1-2-3 fourth, a perfect fifth, and then finally, after getting the first 2 outs in the 6th, he surrenders his first hit.
3-1. High fly ball to left. No hitter gone. Shutout gone. 1-0 Houston. Springer goes deep.
And his first run, as it turns out, his night is over. However, the Dodgers do end up getting that run back in the 7th. Altuve grounds out in yet another 1-2-3 Astros inning. On the first pitch of the 9th inning, Corey Seager grounds one just past Altuve's reach. Justin Turner walks on 5, and then Cody Bellinger picks up his second double of the night, which kicks Ken Giles off the mound. Joe Musgrove is in, he gets Puig swinging, and then the free pass is given to Logan Forsythe. Austin Barnes gives the Dodgers some insurance with a sac fly, but like a good neighbor, Peterson is there as he gives LA a trio of insurance runs with a 3-run bomb. Alex Bregman hits a huge home run to cut the lead of 4, but Altuve flies out to end the game. The series is tied at 2 games apiece. The winner of Game 5 in a 2-2 series usually goes on to win it all, so this is the most important game of the series. Dallas Keuchel is back on the mound looking to rebound from his Game 1 loss, but he immediately allows the single to Chris Taylor. He rebounds by catching Seager looking, but he walks the next 2 batters to load the bases. He gets Bellinger to strike out, but then Logan Forsythe lines a single into left. Marwin can't handle it, and it results in 2 runs. He gets Puig to a 2-2 count. This should be the end of the inning, as long as nothing foolish happens.
Forsythe left early. The throw is wide, safe, and a run scores.
Well, scratch. Altuve really put the effort in to keep this throw from going into center, but you can't help but wonder if a taller second baseman makes that play for an out. Clayton Kershaw has been having an excellent postseason so far, by his standards anyway, but usually he implodes near the end of the playoffs, so you gotta figure the bottom's gonna fall out at some point. Not in the first, as he's perfect with a swinging strikeout of Altuve on a breaking pitch. Game 5 looks to be a pitcher's duel as Keuchel and Kershaw combine to allow one base runner in the second and third. With one out in the fourth, Logan Forsythe strikes again with his second hit of the game, this time a double. Puig strikes out, but Austin Barnes drives in Forsythe, making it 4-0 Dodgers. Charlie Culberson follows by hitting a weak ground ball to Altuve that he just can't handle in time. Both Gurriel and Altuve have made miscues so far on defense. Maybe it's just not their night. Keuchel is out after that. The top of the fourth ends without anything else. Kershaw falls behind Springer 2-0 before earning a strike, and then losing him on the next two. Bregman gets the count in his favor, but he fouls the pitch off. On a full count, he chases ball 4 for a flyout. Altuve steps up to the plate and gets into a 2-strike count, but he gets a single into left. Correa capitalizes by driving in Springer and sending Altuve to third. After a brief review, he has a double. Correa on second, Altuve on third, 1 out. Yuli represents the tying run. You know, maybe it is his night. It appears that Gurriel has tied it. Kershaw, Clayton, buddy.
Oh, we were right there, man!
Now in a 4-4 game, AJ Hinch deploys Colin McHugh, who walks the leadoff batter, then the next batter, then he gets a strikeout, and then...
High fly ball into right. Back at the wall. It's gone.
a crowd silencer. Cody Bellinger made sure to let the Houston faithful know how he felt. All the Astros can try and do is rally against Kershaw, but he gets the first 2 outs of the 5th with little difficulty. But Springer does coax a walk, and then so does Bregman. That kicks Kershaw off the mound. Into the game comes Kenta Maeda. Altuve swings and misses badly on the first pitch. He watches a slider way outside, a changeup way downstairs, then he fouls a changeup in the zone. Another slider way outside runs the count full. Maeda leaves a changeup right in the zone, and Altuve is just early on it, pulling it foul. Years from now, everyone in the baseball world will look at this game and this Astros team in a different, more sinister way. Altuve is going to take the brunt of the hate, even though he doesn't deserve any of it. But that's still to come. Right now, the year is 2017. Houston is recovering from the most devastating natural disaster in its history, and their MVP has a chance to give them the hope they need by tying the game right back up. They need Altuve to be strong. Not just strong, Houston strong.
Another 3-2 fly ball. Deep left center field.
He's done it. José Altuve has delivered what is still to this date the biggest CWPA hit of his career. It increased the Astros' chance to win the World Series by 16.66%. It's the 41st most pivotal home run in MLB history, sandwiched in between all manner of Yankee triumph and tragedy. However, in this game, it seems nothing can last.
That's past him and to the wall. Kike Hernandez will come all the way around. Digging for third is Bellinger, and the Dodgers are back on top.
George Springer dove for an out and couldn't come up with it, but thankfully that's all the damage LA does in the inning. Into the game comes Brandon Morrow, who, well, let me try and provide some context for what you're about to watch. Morrow is taxed. His arm has been counted on to throw 153 pitches so far this postseason. He's pitched in every single game except for Game 4 of the NLCS. That includes 51 pitches so far in this World Series, which started last Tuesday. Dave Roberts, being the manager he is, has once again pushed the Brandon Morrow button in a tie game. Now, what you're about to watch is the entirety of Brandon Morrow's outing in Game 5. It's 6 pitches in total, and it is absolutely the second worst pitching performance I've ever seen in my life. The time in between the broadcast coming back from a commercial and going to a commercial once he exits the game is about 11 and a half minutes. But I've shortened it to 30 seconds long. Be sure to look out for Altuve. He's in the middle of it somewhere. Alright, here we go.
strike one. Altuve. Now Altuve at second, still nobody out, and that bounces in there. He lifts it into left, down the line, at the wall. Goodbye!
That's it, it's over. In 6 pitches, Brandon Morrow turned an 8-7 lead into an 11-8 deficit. In MLB postseason history, no pitcher has ever allowed 4 earned runs on 6 pitches or less. Including the regular season, it's been recorded 4 times, although the details on that are fuzzy. It's one of the 50 worst playoff outings by WPA. Although if you set the maximum number of pitches at 6, which is how many Morrow threw, then it becomes the 2nd worst outing ever. Now I know what you're thinking. What outing could possibly be worse than that? For more on that, I'll see you in part 3. Okay, we gotta move on, or I'm gonna be here all day. To start the 8th, Brad Peacock allegedly catches Austin Barnes looking on a full count sinker. Peacock allows a double to Peterson and then plunks Chris Taylor, which gets him pulled for Will Harris. His first pitch is a double, which scores a run, sets up second and third, one out. Turner lines a fly ball to right, which Taylor doesn't tag on. It was actually a miscommunication with his third base coach. Anyway, that's Harris out and replaced by Chris Davinsky. Andre Ethier grounds a second pitch to Gurriel, and that threat is over. Brian McCann gets back that run with a solo shot in the bottom of the 8th. To lead off the 9th, Davinsky loses Bellinger on 5. Forsythe strikes out for the first out. Chris gets 2 strikes on Puig, but he just kind of pokes his bat out and it ends up into the seats. Just like that, it's a 1-run game. Austin Barnes is next and he hits a single, but he hustles as best as he can and he's rewarded with a double. Peterson chops one to Correa, who stands tall and makes the play. Tying run 90 feet away, Chris Taylor at the plate, and pretty soon he's in a 2-strike count. This is what playoff baseball is all about. This is what dreams are made of, or for Astros fans, nightmares. A 2-strike, 2-out, game-tying base hit. It's required by law in the Texas State Constitution that it's gotta happen to your baseball team at least once. Seager gives every Astros fan in the building a heart attack with a harmless flyout just shy of the warning track, and we are headed to the bottom of the 9th. Set to lead off is our main man. Altuve swings out of his shoes for both strikes 1 and 2, before sending a flyout about the same distance as Seager did. As if Gurriel's day couldn't get any better,
with a 2-out double.
He sends one deep, but off the wall. So I guess it could get better. Doesn't matter though, as we're headed to extras. The only drama in the top of the 10th comes when Andre Ethier slides under Altuve, which could have ended a lot worse, just ask Miguel Tejada. Kenley Jansen stays out for the 10th and retires the first 2 batters before doinking Brian McCann on the forearm. Springer walks on 5 pitches and Derek Fisher is brought in to pinch run for McCann. Into the batter's box steps Alex Bregman. You know, I haven't really had the chance to mention him so far. He's 1 for 4 in this game, with his single coming in the middle of Morrow's masterclass, but on the first pitch he sees, a low and away cutter, he puts to bed the greatest game in Astros history.
That's in the air to left. Here comes Fisher. Throw by Ethier. Astros win it in 10.
With all the emotions, you would have thought they'd won it all. But no, this game gave the Astros a 3-2 series lead. To claim their first World Series title in franchise history, the Astros need to go into Los Angeles and win 1 out of 2. Okay, we have got to get moving. Game 6. Altuve starts it out with another swing and miss against Rich Hill's curve. Springer hits a home run for the 3rd consecutive game to open the scoring. Altuve leads off the next inning by this time connecting on the Rich Hill curveball, but grounding it to Seager, who easily makes that play. With the bases loaded, Hill is pulled from the game for Dave. Just go to literally anybody else. Perhaps I spoke too soon as Morrow puts on his big boy pants and doesn't blow this game wide open. Altuve grounds out against Morrow. In the 6th, the bottom falls out on World Series Verlander with an RBI double from Chris Taylor. 2nd and 3rd, no outs for Corey Seager as he clobbers a hanging slider. Not for a homer, but instead a sac fly. Verlander does get out of that inning with no more damage. With runners on the corner and 2 out, Altuve has a chance to tie the game, but no dice. Apart from another homer from Peterson, this game is over. It all comes down to Game 7. Game 7s evoke some of the greatest memories in the sport. The action-packed, thrilling, back-and-forth 2016 edition, Mad Bum coming out of the pen for 5 scoreless relief innings to clinch a title in 2014, and of course, Luis Gonzalez's bloop base hit that defeated the Yankees in 2001. Baseball is at its best when the last game of the season is a close, action-packed thriller. In 2017, the Astros took the lead after less than 2 minutes. Altuve steps into the box with Bregman on second, and after a curve in the dirt, Bregman on third. Altuve pokes the bat out, and Cody Bellinger decides just to take the out, making it 2-0. Lance McCullers Jr. is on the mound to start the biggest game of his life, and the nerves are clearly getting to him as he hangs a curve on the first batter of the game. The curve strikes out Seager, but then the fastball hits Turner. Once again, the curveball gets a strikeout, and the fastball hits the next batter. The bases are loaded for Jock Peterson, who has been absolutely on fire in this World Series. In fact, if the Dodgers win this game, he's probably going to be World Series MVP. Strike one, strike two, right to Altuve. The Astros still lead 2-0 after 1. Brian McCann works a full count walk to lead off the second, followed by a double. Josh Reddick is not intentionally walked because even with McCullers on deck, the Dodgers don't want to pitch to Springer with the bases loaded. Reddick is in fact retired, which looks like a good decision, until Lance chops one that goes straight to Forsythe, and he for some reason doesn't come home with it to prevent the run. This was the first time an American League pitcher had driven in a run in the World Series since, look at that, Andy Pettitte in 2009. Springer gets his way into a 3-1 count, but Darvish fools him with the sweeper right in the heart of the zone. But when he tries the fastball, no such luck.
3-2. And George drills this one deep to left center field. You can kiss that one goodbye. A 2-run home run.
It's not over yet. Forsythe singles, Bregman makes an excellent play for an out. McCullers hits another batter, and Chris Taylor is up. He lines one 95 miles an hour off the bat, with an expected batting average of .630. But it's straight to Correa, and Forsythe is off the bag. Inning over. Altuve faces Clayton Kershaw. What? Okay, sure, fly out, see if I care. Seager stumbles around first and almost gets caught going back to the bag. For the 4th time tonight, McCullers hits a batter, which is the all-time postseason record. Cody Bellinger steps to the plate, which is an automatic strikeout at this point, but that's the last batter McCullers faces. Colin McHugh enters and gets the Astros out of the jam with no runs allowed. Altuve flies out into foul ground. What might be an out at second is knocked away by Bregman, which knocks Peacock out of the game. For just the 5th time all postseason, AJ Hinch is going to the lefty Francisco Liriano. This time, Belly makes contact and still produces an out. Yep, that's right, another pitcher bites the dust for Houston. Chris Davinsky battles with Puig, who hits a sharp liner that is caught by Gurriel. Entering the game is Charlie Morton. He allows a single, then an uncalled full count strikeout, and after getting out number 1, Andre Ethier comes through with a soft bouncing single that's just past Altuve for the Dodgers' first run of the game. This hasn't been the best start to an outing, but Morton sits Taylor down on 4 and then Seager down on the first pitch while dodging some lumber. Altuve walks in the 7th, and by this point the Astros just put it in neutral. Not a single Dodger reaches base after the RBI single from Ethier. By the time Charlie Morton bats for himself in the top of the 9th inning, everyone in the building can hear the fat lady singing. Chase Utley leads off the inning by striking out on 3 pitches. Chris Taylor grounds an easy opportunity to Altuve for the 2nd out. 3 years prior, in 2014, Sports Illustrated published an article with George Springer on the cover. It read, "An unprecedented look at how a franchise is going beyond Moneyball to build the game's next big thing." And then it makes a prediction. SI was right on the money, because that prediction was completely accurate. It read, "Your 2017 World Series champs."
Here's a ground ball right side. Could do it. The Houston Astros are champions for the first time in franchise history.
For winning American League MVP as well as leading the Astros to their first title in franchise history, José Altuve was named Co-Sportsperson of the Year alongside J.J. Watt. Throw the parades, acquire the hardware. Your Houston Astros are World Series champions! Now what? Well, might as well go over the repeat. The Astros handed Altuve a 5-year, $151 million contract extension that would start after 2020 and span until 2024. It was the largest contract in Astros franchise history. He became the 2nd position player in MLB history to be worth upwards of $30 million annually, joining his buddy Miguel Cabrera. He was once again the American League's starting second baseman in the All-Star Game after batting .332 at the break. And this time, he actually gets his first All-Star Game hit. However, on July 29th, Altuve would be placed on the DL for the first time in his career. The knee discomfort bothered him for the rest of the season, and you can clearly tell as his stats massively trailed off after June. For the first time since 2013, Altuve finished the season with less than 200 hits. His .316 batting average was the lowest since his 2015 season. All in all, this was probably his worst All-Star season to date. Okay, behind his NL All-Star appearance. Yet despite all that, he managed to still grab his AL record-tying 5th Silver Slugger, tied with Robinson Cano of the Yankees. Both of them trail Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg for the overall mark by a second baseman. The Yankees kinda whipped on the Astros in 2018, winning 5 out of 7 against them. Altuve got a hit in all but one of the games, but his overall stats weren't great. He even struck out against Chapman for the first time, and it ended the game. That might lead you to believe that the Astros were worse than they were in 2017. Nope, 103 wins, this time breaking the franchise record from 1998. In 2017, the Astros offense was king, and the pitching staff merely kept pace at a good level. In 2018, the Astros offense was merely good, and the pitching staff was, Okay, so here's a list of the most pitching strikeouts by a team in MLB history. Scroll all the way to the top, and bingo, there's the 2018 Stros. They struck out hitters at a truly comical level. So here's the rotation. Verlander led the team in strikeouts and made his first All-Star game with Houston, also second in Cy Young voting, that's cool. Charlie Morton struck out just over 200 and made his first All-Star game. Dallas Keuchel and Lance McCullers Jr. both struck out guys, but they didn't make the All-Star game. I'm pretty sure that's all from the rotation. I say we move on to the postseason. Once again rolling in as the 2 seed, the Astros had a date with Cleveland this time. In Game 1, there's a total of 4 base runners for both teams in the first 4 innings until, for the second year in a row, Alex Bregman launches a solo home run to give the Astros a 1-0 lead. The Astros score another run in the inning. Verlander shuts down the Cleveland bats in the 5th. George Springer bonks one out, and then Altuve follows him up with his second career back-to-back homer in Game 1 of the ALDS. A couple more runs are scored by both teams, but the Astros still end up with a blowout win. Game 2, Cleveland takes the early lead with a solo home run. Altuve has a chance in the next frame, but some phenomenal defense robs him of the RBI. In the 6th, he comes up and grounds one, slips out of the box, hustles, and reaches when Donaldson throws the ball away. He doesn't go for second because he was limping a bit towards the end of the play, which gets the trainer out to check on him. Cookie Carrasco is off the mound and replaced by one of the best postseason relievers of all time in Andrew Miller. Marwin greets him with a second pitch double that ends up giving the Astros the lead when Bregman hustles around the bags. And then later, Bregman gives the Astros some extra insurance and they hang on to win. Cleveland once again takes a 1-0 early lead in Game 3. Springer ties it back up, Lindor breaks that tie, and then in the 7th inning, a single and wild pickoff move put Tony Kemp on second. Springer swings a ball 4, but ends up on first anyways, sending Kemp to third. Altuve comes up, puts the ball in play, scores the run, and beats out the throw. Bregman then puts the ball in play, it's right back to the pitcher, wide throw, safe at first, that's just funny. On a 3-1 count, Marwin could take this easy ball 4 for a run, but the theme of this inning is putting the ball in play, so he pokes it into left, and presto, 2 runs score. The next inning, Springer hits his second homer of the game, Altuve doubles in the gap, Bregman is given a free pass, a wild pitch gives Gurriel second and third 1 out, and not wanting to give up a homer, Terry Francona puts him on as well. For the third time today, Marwin comes up with the bases loaded, and once again, he gets an RBI. Then another wild pitch scores a run, and then Correa nails the coffin on this series with a 3-run bomb. Time for another ALCS trip, and once again, it's a rematch. See, when I said 2017 was a transition year for Boston, this is what I meant. By 2018, they have completed their transition into the healthy, grown adult woman they were always meant to be. Also, they scored a lot. With the David Ortiz era now 2 years gone, they have become the most dominant team in baseball by a long shot. However, the Astros weren't exactly outclassed, splitting a series in early June and taking 2 out of 3 in September to finish 4-3 against Boston overall on the year. The 2 evenly matched teams head into Game 1, both looking to gain the edge. In the second inning, Chris Sale starts to lose his command a bit, which loads the bases for Springer. Sale gets ahead 0-2 immediately, but he battles back until the count is full and lines a 2-run single past the glove of Eduardo Nunez. Altuve grounds into a fielder's choice. In the 5th, just like Sale, Verlander gets into some trouble by walking a pair to load the bases. He gets ahead 0-2 on Mitch Moreland, but loses him and walks in a run. Up steps the 2018 American League MVP and Mookie Betts, who's having one of the best seasons ever, and he grounds into a fielder's choice and doesn't get an RBI. But the catcher can't handle this spike slider and it ends up scoring a run. But Verlander does get out of it. Correa hits a go-ahead single in the 6th. Huh, that's interesting. This game is really boring, you guys. Reddick launches a straightaway homer in the 9th. Altuve draws a full count walk, then Bregman draws a full count walk, then Gurriel drives in all 3 with a homer near Pesky's pole, which ties a neat little bow on this game. The Red Sox get off to a fast start in Game 2 with a pair of runs in the 1st. But just like in Game 1, the team that scores the first 2 runs gives up the lead when Springer muscles one over the glove of Steve Pearce for a pair of runs. Then the next inning, Marwin once again gives the Astros a pair of runs to take a 2-run lead. However, with 2 outs and the bases loaded, Jackie Bradley Jr. hits one off the green monster that bounces in an odd enough way that scores all 3 runs. The game stays scoreless until the 7th when Betts gets on with a walk. Then after a wild pitch strikeout that advances Betts and a passed ball that advances Betts, another passed ball scores Betts because the catcher is bad. Betts actually earns a run for his team in the 8th with an RBI single. Down 3 in the 9th, Altuve does manage to grab an RBI single to bring the tying run to the plate in Alex Bregman, but he comes up just short of a game-tying 2-out homer. The Red Sox tie up the series. 3 Red Sox batters into Game 3, and it's already 1-0. Keuchel retires his first batter, but a runner scores. For the first time in his career, Altuve isn't playing second base in the postseason. His legs aren't 100%, so he's DHing here tonight. He singles and then scores in the first to cut the lead in half. In the 5th, he falls down 0-2, but he battles back to draw the walk. Bregman hits one that goes under the glove of Devers, who fails a backhand because he's not a good defender, and Altuve sprints around the bases to tie the game. Steve Pearce unties the game in the 6th with a solo shot that just stays fair. Altuve lays down a bunt in the 7th, and it's a perfect bunt. He's on first. The passed ball puts him in scoring position, but Bregman can't capitalize. In the 8th, the Astros' biggest scumbag loads the bases and doinks Mitch Moreland on the elbow, which drives in a run. Jackie Bradley Jr. continues his hot streak by blasting a grand slam into right, and yeah, screw you, dude. Game 4. Hey, fun fact, I was at this game. Okay, fun is in air quotes, to see why just a bit. Morton hits Betts, and then he gets an out, and then he walks a guy, then a pitch gets away, and then he strikes a guy out, and then he allows a single and a pair of runs. Well, it looks like it's going to be one of those games. Springer gets a hit, and Altuve, can you do the thing?
Altuve, right field, back there. Betts at the track, he leaps, and it is out!
Well, here comes some controversy. Rule 6.01 of the MLB rulebook states, when there is spectator interference with any thrown or batted ball, the ball shall be dead at the moment of interference, and the umpire shall impose such penalties as in his opinion will nullify the act of interference. Upon replay review, it's pretty clear that Mookie Betts catches this ball without the fan closing his glove. However, the rule then says no interference shall be allowed when a fielder reaches over a fence, railing, rope, or into the stands to catch a ball. However, should a spectator reach out on the playing field side of such fence, railing, or rope and plainly prevent the fielder from catching the ball, then the batsman should be called out for the spectator's interference. And that's where the controversy starts. Does blue shirt fan or orange shirt fan reach over the line? Well, there isn't an angle that definitively says yes or no, because of course there isn't. But I would like to point out that dress shirt fan is very clearly extending out fully. And in my opinion, his left hand grabbing onto the front of the padding provides enough reference to say that his right hand is behind the line, which would then show that orange shirt fan is behind the yellow line. And as a very unbiased party in this, I'd like to say that it was a home run. But Joe West's ruling on the field was fan interference, and it stands. Dang. As if things weren't heated enough, Rick Porcello hits Marwin on the very next pitch. The Astros don't get anything out of the first inning. The teams trade runs in the 2nd and 3rd, but Springer hits one to the opposite field for a homer. Now is the tying run Altuve.
2016. Now Altuve, that's deep. Way back. Benintendi on the run. It's off the top of the wall. Altuve cranks it up on his way to second. The tag. He's safe.
This is a homer by a matter of feet. To make things even worse, he's hobbling after the play. But he stays in the game. Reddick drives him in, but Altuve is visibly limping on his way to score. Of all the players on the team to untie this game with a homer, it's 686 career OPS Tony Kemp who mashes one that just stays fair. Altuve is up with Springer on, but Porcello's pickoff throw gets past Pearce, allowing him to move up 90 feet. But Altuve flies out anyway. Josh James is for some reason allowed to keep going with his relief after a 5th inning double that comes around to tie the game. Correa gets the better of the same reliever he bested in Game 1, and the Astros once again have the lead. James is inexplicably still in this game, but hey, he gets the first 2 outs, then a fly ball that stays in the yard, but Springer can't corral it, so it's a 2-bagger. Surely Hinch will pull James now, right? No, you're just gonna sit there and watch as Jackie Bradley Jr. deposits a 2-run check 385 feet into right field? Sure, whatever, AJ, that's up to you. Oh, and he's lucky Betts didn't go yard too. The Red Sox load him up the next time up, and Lance McCullers Jr. enters the game to walk in a run, but he gets out of it. The Red Sox trickle another insurance run in the 8th, but Altuve comes up with 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. His ground ball to a slightly back infield scores Bregman, but the Astros don't get anything else there. With the bases loaded and the MVP at the plate, it's going to take a miracle to prevent any more insurance runs from scoring in the top of the ninth. Betts lines one to right center, but Josh Reddick makes a spectacular diving catch to save multiple runs from scoring and to keep this game within striking distance. To lead off the bottom of the ninth, Gurriel flies out to Ian Kinsler. After his catch, Reddick draws a walk, which brings the tying run to the plate in Carlos Correa. Kimbrel can't find the zone this inning as he walks Correa on 5. The tying run is now on first. Brian McCann flies an 0-1 pitch for the second out. The fate of this game lies on the bat of Tony Kemp. He works the count to 3-1, then watches a perfectly placed fastball to run it full. The Astros are trying to stay in this series. This might be their last chance. Can Tony Kemp come through?
The 3-2, Correa goes, it's ball 4!
That'll do, Tony. That'll do. Into the batter's box steps Alex Bregman. Tying run on second. He lines the first pitch he sees to left, and then the Astros' chance of winning the series ends right then and there.
Benintendi dives, and he makes the catch!
Just like that, a 2-2 series tie is a 3-1 deficit. On to Game 5. Justin Verlander has what is his worst postseason start in an Astros uniform so far. Over 5 innings, he only allowed a solo home run from JD Martinez, but in the 6th, the Sox put 2 on for Devers, and he hit the ball to put the pennant on ice. Look, the 2018 Red Sox were one of the best teams ever. Allegedly! And there's no shame in losing to the World Series champs. Altuve was dealing with knee problems that forced him to move to DH for the final 3 games. He didn't hit well, and AJ Hinch even admitted that if it hadn't have been the postseason, Altuve wouldn't have been playing. He underwent surgery to repair the knee a few days after the series was over, which is a pretty crummy way to end the year, isn't it? For some inexplicable reason, the Astros and Major League Baseball as a whole had a power surge, absolutely shattering just about every single season home run record in 2019. Of the top 20 single season home run totals by teams, and this is all time, 10 of the seasons were in 2019. There are all manner of teams here, teams that made the playoffs and teams that didn't make the playoffs. No matter who you were or what your talent was like, if you got a little bit of the bat on the ball, it's suddenly a home run. This, of course, extends to Altuve, who smashed 31 homers, which is by far the most he's had in a season to this point. He hit 2 grand slams this year, which doubled his previous career total of 1. And the day after he hit one of those grand slams, he hit his 6th homer in 5 games, which ties a franchise record. He had a literal walk-off at one point. It was a funny season for Jose. He did get hurt again, which caused him to miss a ton of games in May and June, and also costing him his 6th consecutive All-Star trip, but that's okay. Cleveland is a crummy town anyways. But next year's game, it's going to be in Los Angeles. Now that's a town. Altuve, be sure to make that one. I'm sure they'll love you. Speaking of loving Altuve, against the Yankees, Altuve hit 5 home runs, including his 100th career homer. This is easily his best single season against New York. Of course, including literally bringing Aroldis Chapman to his knees in their one matchup. The Stros took 4 games, the Yankees took 3, and both teams easily won their divisions. Oh, also, did I mention the Astros got a little bit better? Like, best offense in MLB history better? Okay, technically they do have a lower WRC plus than those Yankees teams, but at the same time, people of color weren't allowed to play baseball in 1927, so which offense is really better? Oh, and the Astros also had the Cy Young winner in Justin Verlander, who had a career year at age 36. Better than his MVP year, in fact. All of this and more culminated in a franchise best record of 107-55 and a playoff 1 seed, as well as the best record in all of baseball this year. The second best record belonged to the Dodgers, and all the signs are pointed towards a 2017 rematch. But is that what happened? Altuve watches a triple-digit fastball bounce in for a ball before popping up a low triple-digit fastball for an easy out. Following a leadoff walk, Altuve pops one sky high for the out. Once again after a leadoff walk, Altuve comes up. He fouls the first one, takes the second one, then he whacks the third one for his 9th career postseason home run. That's about it for Game 1. I mean, there was like a whole other half of the game to play, but like, Altuve went hitless other than the homer, and the Astros easily tanked the Rays' 8th inning rally. Game 2, are you ready to strike out?
Hi, my name is. My name is. What? My name is.
Garrett Cole was toiling away on the Pittsburgh Wait, didn't I already say it? Whatever. The Astros nabbed him for the low price of literally nothing. In 2018, he was a second-time All-Star, posting a career high in strikeouts and strikeouts per 9. It was a pretty good season for Cole. It feels like people forget it now, but 2019 Garrett Cole always seemed to take a bite out of 97-year-old strikeout records. Okay, that was hyperbole, but he became only the second pitcher with a 320 strikeout season in the 21st century. He posted the most strikeouts ever by an Astros pitcher. He tallied double-digit strikeouts in 21 separate games, which is tied for the 5th most ever in a single season. He managed the 13th highest K per 9 ever among starters, which is impressive. Until I tell you that there isn't an innings minimum on this stat head search, meaning that all of the guys surrounding him pitched fewer than 10 innings in the season listed. If you crank the innings minimum as high as it can go, 212, you find that he is a full strikeout per 9 ahead of the next guy. He's one of two non-Nolan Ryan right-handed pitchers to strike out 320 batters in a season alongside Hall of Famer Bob Feller. His phenomenal year culminated in, well, not a Cy Young season thanks to his teammate Justin Verlander. There's a lot of debate to be had over who deserved the Cy Young that year, but JV probably won it by tossing both a no-hitter and getting his 3,000th strikeout, which are both milestone accomplishments in an obvious Hall of Fame career. In Game 2 of the ALDS, Cole brought his A game. He struck out 2 in the first. Then he struck out the side in the second, all swinging. He nabs another K in the third. Altuve gets a 2-out double, but it doesn't score. Cole then caps the fourth with a swinging strikeout. Bregman gets Cole a run, and Cole responds by getting a trio of Rays swinging with a single mixed in between. That last strikeout brought him to 10 on the day, which made it the 10th consecutive game with double-digit strikeouts for Cole. You better believe that's an MLB record. In the bottom of that inning, Altuve steps into the box with runners on the corners and 1 out. On the 0-1 pitch, he chases well outside the zone and grounds one into, well, that stinks. Willy Adames pokes one just out of the reach of Correa. Cole works his way to a full count and throws one way outside the zone. That's definitely going to be ball 4. There are going to be 2 runners on with no outs. And perhaps the Rays can score a tying run or even take the lead. Except Yandy Diaz swung at that pitch. He looks awful while doing it, and Adames was running, so to make things even worse, he gets gunned down at second. A flyout then wraps the 6th. Tommy Pham gets a backwards K to lead off the 7th. Then G-Man Choi earns himself a forwards K courtesy of a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and then Cole caps that inning with a groundout. The Astros rally and grab another run against Emilio Pagan. Altuve once again has runners on the corners, but with 2 outs he flies one a few steps short of the warning track. Already with 13 strikeouts, Cole is sent out there with 96 pitches for the 8th inning. And he racks up his 14th strikeout on the day with just 4 pitches. Unfortunately, Travis d'Arnaud racks up quite a few extra pitches, but eventually
10th pitch of this at-bat to d'Arnaud.
he gets him. However, Cole can't get out of the 8th after a Kevin Kiermaier double and his first walk of the night. He gets pulled and the Astros go on to win the game. Cole's Game 2 performance is tied for the 3rd most strikeouts ever in a postseason game, behind only 2 legendary performances. Game 3, Charlie Morton's contract ended after the 2018 season with the Astros. He parlayed his career year into a 2-year, $30 million contract with the Tampa Bay Rays. 2019 then became his new career year, eventually ending up in a 3rd place finish behind Verlander and Cole. So if the Astros want to complete the sweep, they're going to have to go through an old friend. And Altuve...
A drive to center field. Kiermaier goes back. He goes way back to the wall, and it's gone!
Cuts through that old friend like butter. Unfortunately, Kevin Kiermaier whacks a 3-run home run to grab back the lead. Altuve responds with the double, but Morton sits down the next 3 batters to get out of the jam. The game is out of hand by the time Altuve comes up again. He strikes out and then lines out later. Game 4 starts with a leadoff single from Springer, followed by a trio of strikeouts. In Game 1, Justin Verlander allowed 1 hit and 0 runs in 7 innings, but he's being asked to pitch on 3 days rest, which is something he hasn't done all season. Tommy Pham homered, Travis d'Arnaud singled for a run, and then Joey Wendell of all people doubles in the 3rd run. In the 4th inning, Altuve gets a single, and with 1 out, Altuve sees a ball off the wall and books it around the bases, and
Throw to the plate is in time!
Well, that's not ideal. The Rays have added another home run while getting a lucky line drive double play that prevents Altuve from having any RBIs. But he strikes out anyway. In the 9th inning, Altuve works a tough walk versus Pagan. Then he heads to 3rd on a Bregman single. With 2 outs, Gurriel hits one right back up the middle, but the defense is right there, and we are heading to a Game 5. Garrett Cole is back on the mound, and you know what that means.
5th pitch of the at-bat to Meadows, a called strike 3.
Yep, this is going to be an easy one. The Astros lead off with a pair of singles, the second of which sends Springer to 3rd. Altuve then nabs the first RBI of the inning by singling the opposite way. Bregman nabs a pair of runs with a double. Gurriel has made it a 4-0 game, and that's going to be the last run of the inning. Garrett Cole does allow a solo home run, but he puts it in neutral and extends his MLB record for double-digit Ks in consecutive outings. Other than an Altuve 8th inning nail-in-the-coffin home run, this one ends without anything else notable. Who might the ALCS opponent be? Why, none other than the New York Yankees. This team was better than they were in 2017. Their offense was the star of the show, hitting the second most home runs of any team in MLB history. The one team ahead of them was the 2019 Minnesota Twins, who all season chased them for the record. Fittingly, the two teams matched up in the ALDS, in which the Yankees made a mockery of the small Coke team, outscoring them 23-7 in the 3-game sweep. For Game 1 of the ALCS, I'll turn it over to a fellow YouTuber and noted Yankees fan, Mr. And That's Baseball.
In Game 1, Masahiro...
Thanks, Mr. That's Baseball. Anyways, with the Astros now down 0-1, they turn to Justin Verlander to right the ship in Game 2. He is a perfect first inning. Altuve lines one for an out. Verlander is still perfect. Gray gets the Astros on the board in this series with an RBI double. Verlander is still perfect. Altuve gets a single to put 2 on with 1 out, but Chad Green gets out of trouble. Verlander's bid for a playoff perfecto is foiled by a leadoff walk, and pretty soon after...
That is hit in the air to right center. Back is Marisnik and is gone.
There goes the no-hit bid. Also the lead. Chad Green turns in a perfect 4th, but after striking out the leadoff man in the 5th, Aaron Boone makes the call to the bullpen for Adam Ottavino. Now, Ottavino is a really good reliever. The only problem is that when he hangs a pitch...
Here's Ottavino. Here's a high fly ball to left.
Well, it's not usually going to stay in the yard. Altuve comes up with a runner on, grounds one that bounces off Didi's glove for an infield single. In the 6th inning, Verlander gets into trouble after a pair of singles. With 2 outs, Brett Gardner battles his way to a full count. The runners will be going, so it's paramount that Verlander gets something easy for the fielders. And he does induce what should be an easy one-hopper for Altuve. Except it bounces off Jose and out of where he can get it. At this moment, it looks like the Yankees are going to have the bases loaded. Oh, hey, Carlos.
Altuve, here comes LeMahieu.
Yeah, this isn't really as bad as Greg Bird's nonsense in 2017. That's just a really good recovery from Correa. Even though Verlander is at 100 pitches, he's still getting outs. But after walking Taco legend Cameron Maybin, he's replaced by Will Harris, who easily handles Didi. Altuve first pitch swings against Zach with a K Britton for a routine groundout. Chapman K's 3 batters in the bottom of the 9th to send this one to extra innings. Joe Smith tosses a perfect top half of the 10th, and with 1 out, a disciplined Altuve draws a 4-pitch walk from Jonathan Loaizinga. Bregman then gets ahead 3-0 before taking what is probably the hardest swing and miss of his career, before eventually working a full count walk. J.A. Happ is in, and he retires both hitters he faces in the 10th to end the inning. Joe Smith gets a pair of quick outs to begin the 11th, but after a walk, he's pulled. After a single, that pitcher is pulled, and after all of this, we end up with the 3rd pitcher of the inning facing Gary Sanchez. Josh James' fastball is pretty good. Is everything else? Well, the fastball is good. He rides that fastball for a pair of foul balls before getting a pop-up that should end the inning. Where did it? Okay, never mind, it hit the roof. James throws it for a ball, then another foul. His first slider is a foul, so is his second. Back to the fastball and another foul ball. Then a pretty good slider gets the swinging strike 3 to end the... Wait, a foul tip? Okay, let's check the review. What? Anyways...
Got him over the outside corner.
Ball don't lie. In the bottom of the...
Here's a fly ball into right. Back at the wall. This game is over.
Well, that was fast. Carlos Correa has, for the 2nd time in his career, hit a walk-off in Game 2 of the ALCS against the Yankees. Welcome to New York. It's been waiting for you, Jose. Would you mind greeting the fine folks?
Altuve jumps him.
Oh, God, my eyes. Yeah, I'm not sure why or how Fox messed up the lighting this badly, but they did, so prepare to be blinded for the next couple of minutes. The Astros load the bases in the 1st after Altuve, but don't get any more runs. Then facing Cole, the Yankees load the bases, but don't get any runs. Reddick goes deep to make it 2-0. Altuve taps one back to Severino, and E1. Altuve nabs a stolen base, but nothing comes of it. In the 2nd, the Yankees once again put some runners on against Cole, but he does what he does best and strikes out Judge to end the inning. After a 1-2-3 3rd, New York puts some ducks on the pond again for DJ LeMahieu, but he gets under the 0-2 pitch and can't grab the lead. After the game is delayed because the home plate umpire Jeff Nelson took a foul ball to the face, Altuve grounds out. For like the 4th time this game, Cole faces multiple runners on and 2 outs. He got Didi to ground out earlier, but this time he doesn't. This is a series-changing moment. With a homer right here, DD can give the Yankees the momentum they need to upset the Astros. Except, he doesn't.
Back at the wall
Cole thought it was gone. The Yankees bench thought it was gone. The fans in the short porch are furious. Okay, moving on. Both teams trade perfect innings until Springer walks in the 7th. He runs on the first pitch and Altuve punches the ball right through the hole to allow him to get to third. After Springer gets held up, he dances around until the Astros have wanting to avoid a Gurriel. The Yankees bring up the Gurriel with the bases loaded. However, a wild pitch ends up scoring Altuve and setting up the funny anyways. Guess what happened?
Fly ball into left.
Okay, they can't all be winners. Other than a meaningless solo shot and a slightly more meaningless ground out, that's Game 3 wrapped up. The Yankees offense is off to a good start in Game 4, loading the bases with 2 outs. Brett Gardner draws a 4-pitch walk to make it 1-0, but Gary Sanchez leaves the rest of the runs on the table. I'm sure New York wished they could get a few more runs, but I'm also sure that the legend of playoff Tanaka can hold down the fort. Well, you know, some legends are a bit exaggerated. Altuve falls down 0-2, but after a few fouls, he legs out an infield single. Another single moves Altuve to third. Bregman hits a first pitch tapper that gets Altuve hung up, but he stays in the rundown long enough to set up second and third 1 out for the second and third 1 out man himself. Gurriel doesn't hit it deep enough to score a run, and the Astros don't score any more in the third. Both pitchers are perfect for the next few frames until the Yankees load him up in the 5th with 1 out. But second verse, same as the first, as Torres and Edwin Encarnacion both strike out swinging. The Yankees certainly would have liked to tie the game, but as long as Chad Green can keep the Astros at bay. Oh, you gotta be kidding. Well, this game is decided. The only other thing I will note is that Altuve reached on the Yankees' 4th and final error of the game, eventually scoring. The Yankees were facing elimination and looked to rewrite the Game 4 narrative of sloppiness. Well, Springer gets on with one of those 50-50 hit error rollers. Then Altuve watches him move over 90 feet on a passed ball. Jose grounds out but sends Springer to third. After a walk, the first pitch to Bregman gets away and the Astros have their first run. With a 1-run cushion, Verlander's second pitch of the game is... Great, well, the lead is gone. After a single and a double, Verlander gets a strikeout to... Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Just play that clip.
That's down the line. It is gone.
Okay, so Verlander and Paxton engage in a duel after that, not allowing another run through the 5th. But in the 6th, it looks like Paxton is going to get pulled after 111 pitches. But Aaron Boone lets him stay in the game, which gets a huge roar from the crowd. That decision...
Chirinos hits it in the air to left. Back at the wall.
Actually does pay off, but man oh man would that have been funny. That's pretty much it for Game 5. Altuve drew a walk, but who cares? The Astros turn to Brad Peacock to start Game 6, which is a pretty baller move if you think about it. I mean, the Astros are basically saying, we are going to win this game and we'd like Cole to be a little more rested for Game 1 of the World Series. Or maybe a Game 7 if it comes to that. Peacock gets a quick 3-up, 3-down. The Yankees also start a reliever in Chad Green. He doesn't do nearly as well, giving up a 1-out double to Altuve and then a 2-out walk to Bregman. Then Gurriel jumps on the first pitch for a 3-0 lead in Game 6. New York gets a run back in the 2nd, then they strand the bases loaded in the 3rd. Then Altuve flies out. Gio Urshela hits a solo home run. The Yankees put runners on 1st and 2nd, but Brett Gardner's line drive is snagged by Reddick for the 2nd out. Correa's cannon of an arm is responsible for the 3rd out. Altuve walks to lead off the bottom half of that inning and then advances to 3rd on a single. Bregman grounds into a fielder's choice that scores Altuve and makes the game 4-2. Aaron Judge leads off the 7th by hitting one that just gets over Carlos Correa's glove for a base hit. Will Harris gets Gleyber Torres to pop up for the 1st out. After Aaron Hicks battles to a full count, he hits a little fly ball to left. Judge is hoping to get to 3rd on this, so he runs all the way to 2nd. But he's not going to get to 3rd on this play. As a matter of fact, Michael Brantley was Dr. Smooth with Cleveland for a decade. He had a trio of All-Star appearances and a 3rd-place MVP finish in 2014. He wasn't a power hitter, but he was a good hitter, a pure hitter, a professional hitter even. He made contact on 91.1% of his swings in his career, which, if that sounds high, that's because only 8 men have a higher contact percentage. And if these names shock you, keep in mind this is from 2002 to 2019. He didn't have much postseason experience since Cleveland lost the 2013 AL wildcard game, and Brantley missed Cleveland's 2016 run to the World Series with a shoulder injury. They choked a 2-0 lead in the 2017 ALDS to the Yankees, and then they got swept by the Astros in 2018. Remember that? Anyways, Brantley's contract expired after 2018, and he pulled a semi-Kevin Durant by bolting for the Astros. In Houston, he and Altuve were two of the best batters of the decade, with the highest and second highest batting average since 2014. But in this moment, the Astros don't need his bat, they need his glove.
That is trouble, and diving catch by Bradley from behind the runner. One of the best double plays in ALCS history.
I still, to this day, don't know why Aaron Judge was at second when the ball was caught. I mean, they were down by 2 runs, so it's not like he was the tying run. There was 1 out, so maybe he didn't want a double play, but there would have been a runner on first anyways. I just don't get it, I just don't get it. Anyways, the Astros are 6 outs away from their second pennant in 3 years. Joe Smith gets a strikeout, allows a single, and then
3-2 to second. Altuve, Correa, double play.
well, now we're 3 outs away. Gio Urshela starts the inning with a single. Gardner gets fooled by the changeup. DJ LeMahieu falls down in the count 1-2, but doesn't chase on a close slider. He taps a fastball, but it rolls foul. He fouls off another fastball. Then a changeup up and in is foul. Back to the fastball, foul ball. Then the 9th pitch of this at-bat is upstairs to run the count full. And then
3-2 pitch.
George Springer came about a foot away from making the greatest catch in Astros history. Maybe in MLB history. If he... Wait, why is there a Phillies fan at a playoff game at Minute Maid Park? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the game is now tied and the Yankees keep it that way, heading into the bottom of the 9th. Aroldis Chapman is out there to send this thing to extras. He has allowed roughly a base runner per inning so far this postseason. He obliterates the first batter and makes quick work of the second. George Springer steps up to the plate. He's the man you want to bat in this situation, what with the most home runs in Astros postseason history and all. He takes a slider located for a strike on the inner corner. Then he takes another slider just under the zone. And again, but way lower. The first fastball Springer sees isn't even close. The second one he sees is closer, but again a ball which sends him to first base. ALCS winning run aboard. Into the batter's box steps José Altuve. The first pitch he sees is a fastball way up and out of the zone. The second pitch he sees is in the exact same location. The last 4 pitches Chapman has thrown have all been fastballs that weren't even close to the zone. He just can't locate it. So he goes to the slider and locates it for a strike on the inner part of the plate. Chapman hasn't been able to locate the fastball, so when his next slider leaks out over the plate, Altuve makes the moment his own. For that homer, as well as his 1.097 OPS, Altuve was named 2019 American League Championship Series MVP. The Blast sent the Astros to the World Series, where their most likely opponent was the Dodgers, who were far and away the best team in the National League. So come Game 1, it was the... Wait, what? You're joking. You're joking! I can't believe my eyes! You're joking me. You gotta be. This can't be the right guy. So, how did we end up with the Washington Nationals of all teams? That was a joke. Well, the Nationals won the NL wildcard game in order to advance and face the Dodgers in the NLDS. LA took a 2-1 series lead, but after a blowout Game 4, they returned to Dodger Stadium for Game 5. Things were going great for the Dodgers as they took a 3-1 lead into the 7th inning. Walker Buehler got into some trouble, so Dave Roberts made the always solid move of trusting Clayton Kershaw to get meaningful outs in October. That went about as well as you'd expect, with Kershaw allowing a pair of solo home runs to tie the game up. Fast forward to extras and the bases are loaded, take the bat and swing. That's a grand slam. The Dodgers lose in 5. Wow, losing to the 2019 Nationals? That's crazy. Couldn't be me. And Howie Kendrick of all players to hit the dagger? Yeah, I mean that's pretty embarrassing, Dodgers. I'd be pretty mad after that. Alrighty then, game 1 time. Garrett Cole is back on the mound, and you know what that means.
Garrett Cole.
Yep, this is going to be an easy one. In fact, the Astros haven't lost a Garrett Cole start since early July. After a Springer walk, the first pitch Altuve sees in the Fall Classic is a base hit into left. A wild pitch sends Springer over 90 feet. Altuve didn't move up on that, but he does steal a base as Bregman strikes out. Gurriel launches one off the wall, and presto, the favorites have a 2-run lead. This game looks like it's going to be a momentum-fueled blowout. And you know what? This series is probably going to end up the same way. Well, Ryan Zimmerman hits a solo home run the very next inning to cut the lead in half. Altuve lines out, then Juan Soto hits a solo home run to cut the lead to 0. Now, suddenly in a tied game, the Astros put a pair on for Altuve, who battles his way to a full count. The runners go, and Altuve taps one to first, where Scherzer covers and he's out. The Nationals also put 2 on, but they capitalize with an Adam Eaton RBI. This is the first time Garrett Cole has allowed 3 earned runs to score since August. He almost gets a double play to get out of it, but it's safe at first. Then Juan Soto launches one that gets over Brantley's head and off the Crawford boxes. Both runners come around to score. For the first time since May, Garrett Cole has allowed 5 earned runs in a game. A diving catch by Correa prevents the 6th run from coming across. In the 7th, Springer starts chipping away at the deficit with a home run, and whoop, there go the lights. However, Altuve strikes out and the Astros end up stranding the bases loaded. In the 8th, it's once again Springer chipping away as he cuts it to 1 with a run-scoring double. Altuve chases a ball and lines out to right, and then Brantley lines out to left. The Astros go 1-2-3 in the 9th and are down 0-1 in the series. The Astros are down early in Game 2 as an Anthony Rendon double makes it 2-0 in the first. Altuve doubles, but then gets caught stealing, which comes back to bite Houston when Bregman launches a 2-run home run to tie it up. In the 3rd, he gets on with an error. Brantley gets on with a single, but this time Bregman can't drive him in. In the 5th, he singles, but Brantley flies out. In the 7th, Kurt Suzuki gives the Nationals the lead with a solo home run. From there, the Nationals crack open the game like an ice-cold Dr. Pepper and tally 7 more runs to put the game away. Game 3 starts with a Springer infield single, but Altuve is robbed of a run-scoring double thanks to Victor Robles. Altuve gets a double, but heads over to 3rd on an error by Soto. An insane bounce off of Anibal Sanchez allows Altuve to score the Astros' 2nd run of the night. In the 5th, once again, Altuve gets a hit and Brantley drives him in. Nothing much happens after that, and the Astros take Game 3. Altuve gets a single in the 1st of Game 4 and scores. And then Brantley scores. An amazing play from Rendon robs Altuve of a hit in the 3rd. In the 4th, Patrick Corbin makes a good play to rob Altuve of a bunt hit and RBI. In the 7th, Altuve flies out with 2 runners on, but like 10 seconds later, Bregman hits a grand slam and puts this one to bed. Oh, except for Altuve's single in the 8th. Springer leads off Game 5 with a walk, but Altuve grounds into a double play to make that point moot. Altuve gets a little flare base hit, but it doesn't end up amounting to anything. The Astros are now up 4-0 after a pair of 2-run homers. After a Springer 1-out walk, Altuve grounds into his 2nd double play of the game. In the 8th, he grounds out. The Astros' 3rd 2-run bomb of the night comes off the bat of Springer, followed by Altuve, who lines out. Game 6, the Astros Cy Young winner is on the mound to try and win them their 2nd World Series in 3 years. He allows a run in the 1st, but Altuve's sac fly ties it up. And then Bregman once again hits a 1st inning home run off Strasburg, and this time he brings his bat with him to 1st. Altuve pops out in the 3rd. The Nationals get a pair of solo shots to take the lead in the 5th. The Astros get a rally going by putting a pair of runners on in the bottom half of the inning. Runner on 2nd, runner on 3rd, 1 gone. Altuve strikes out on 3 pitches. Brantley grounds out to end the 5th. After a truly wild and insane top of the 7th, Washington grabs a pair of runs on a 2-run home run from Anthony Rendon. Altuve grounds out in the 8th to cap his first postseason game without reaching base since Game 6 of the 2017 World Series. The Nationals have forced a Game 7. I'm not too worried though. Zack Greinke is one of the most interesting characters in baseball history, but we're here to talk about his pitching. After a solid start to his career, he won the Cy Young with the Royals in 2009. Eventually, he wound up in LA, and after he was just kind of okay there, he wound up in the other LA. He made a pair of All-Star games with the Dodgers and placed second in the 2015 Cy Young voting. He moved on to Arizona, started a Chipotle franchise, and made another trio of All-Star games. Eventually, the Astros traded for him at the 2019 trade deadline, where he performed masterfully down the stretch. In fact, he was so good that it warrants its own video. But I'm gonna go back in time and make it. There, I did it. Now back to the future and/slash or present. He got rocked in his first postseason start, got no run support in his second, and performed just okay in his third and fourth starts. His fifth postseason start, Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah, gonna be a big game.
It was the start of his life. 3 up, 3 down in the first. Altuve gets jammed and grounds out. Greinke gave up a single, but erased it himself with a double play. Gurriel picks one for the third out, and then gives the Astros their first run with a solo shot the next inning. The Astros put 2 on with nobody out, but nobody scores. Greinke takes out number 1 himself, and then coaxes an easy out number 2 and 3. Altuve leads off the third with the single. Bregman walks, but the Astros strand another 2 runners. Greinke nabs Trey Turner's grounder for the easy out. Okay, now he's just showing off. I mean, that's crazy. He strikes out Rendon to stay at the minimum through 4. Altuve comes up with 2 on and 2 out and makes good contact, but it's straight to Victor Robles. Greinke gets his second strikeout of the night on a Soto failed check swing. This 3-2 pitch might have been strike 3, but instead it's a 1-out walk. As Drupal Cabrera bunts and Greinke makes the play himself, he gets a pop-up for the third out. In the fifth, Correa nabs the Astros their second run of the game, but nothing else comes of it. Another 1-2-3 inning, this time capped with a backwards K. Altuve has another runner on, but he grounds into an inning-ending double play. Greinke gets the first out of the 7th, and then he makes his first mistake.
There's a 1-0. That is a rocket to left, and the lead is cut in half.
A 374-foot missile to left field. Everything can go wrong from here. It can all come crumbling down so fast. And I'm not going to waste your time. Soto walks, Greinke's day is done, Will Harris is in, the Nationals take the lead, they add to it and win the World Series in 7. There, it's over. Maybe the greatest team ever fell just 8 outs shy of a championship. Sometimes the agony of heartbreak is worse than the pain of the malaise. Well, that was certainly painful. Probably one of the more heartbreaking Game 7 defeats in recent memory. I mean, the Astros left 10 runners on base in Game 7 of the World Series. That's tied for the most ever by the losing team in a 9-inning Game 7. The other modern era team to do it? Well, funny enough, it's the 2017 Dodgers. Makes you think. I have watched very few things in my life that make me cry. Game 7 of the 2019 World Series is not one of them. I'm sure to some Astros fans it sounds crazy, but think about it. We already won a World Series 2 years prior, and the core is still together for 2020. Things are looking up for the Astros. We've hit an emotional rock bottom, but we can get past it. There's nowhere to go but up. I mean, really, things couldn't possibly get any worse, right? Oh no.
José Altuve.
Happy to be here.